The Carolina Panthers seem to be an afterthought as they host the Cleveland Browns in their opening matchup of the 2025 preseason. As the drama unfolding with the quarterback situation with the Browns, it seems to have drawn a major headline over the Carolina Panthers' possible ascension out of the depths. But there are also a few storylines that could overtake this headline. Want to find out what they could be? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you all so much for joining us on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin', the preseason edition. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo, and I hope you guys are doing okay as we finish out this week. And it's rather late for me, but I'm getting this done. Glad to be back with you guys as so many of you are putting some love out there. There were some comments that I didn't get to. My computer is down, but I will get with you on Monday or Tuesday as I get prepared to talk to you guys about the results of the impending game, which I am going to preview for you right now. But just wanted to let you guys know, make sure you get your comments down there. Some of you guys have not let me know who you are because the shirts are on the verge of being ready. They're about a week or two out from being ready. And when you see me flaunt it on this show or unveil it on this show, it will be time for the drawing. But anyway, hope you guys are doing well. Just want to give a heartfelt condolence to a friend of the show whom we lost yesterday. My buddy Gerald has been a funny, faithful guy that I could always go into a sub shop that I frequent. As I said, he's a fan of the show. I give my heartfelt condolences to his family and Godspeed to you, Gerald. And I hope you guys will join me as we give him a growler and a sincere moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Just want to transition you guys. Like I said, I love my fans. I love you guys. I think you are awesome. I love dialoguing with you. I appreciate, I'm very blessed that over 200 of you guys have allowed me to come into your world. It means a lot to me when I first started this channel a couple of years ago. But I love the Carolina Panthers. I'm just not a fan of the individuals that say what they say. And I like to come in and give my 2 cents. And fortunately for me, in the last couple of years, a lot of you have agreed with my points. So we want to continue this. So thank you so much for allowing me into your home and into your lives. But let us transition to the preseason game. A lot of the talk has been about Shedeur Sanders starting. And it is really a worry to me that we're not going to be able to get the look that we need. And guys, as a former coach, the most important thing you can get, and my brother will definitely tell you, the most important reps you can get is quality looks. And I'm not saying guys that they're going to be playing are scrubs, but you all know there's a tier and levels to this. You got guys that are totally never going to see the field on a Sunday because they're just not talented enough. And that's no knock on them. They give all the effort in the world, but talent 90% of the time outduels effort. I don't care what anybody says. If you get a guy that's given average effort, and you got a guy with all the talent that's giving average effort, that guy with average effort and all the talent is going to beat that guy with mid-level talent every single time. You can even get a guy who's being given that motor running. I'll give you an example because I was a former Falcons fan. Jesse Tuggle. They called him the Hammer. The guy made quite a few Pro Bowls, but you compare him to a guy like Ray Lewis who had the size and a bit more talent, just a bit more. And Jesse Tuggle was a legend in Atlanta. Any of you know Atlanta Falcons football back in the late 80s, early 90s? Jesse Tuggle was the man, but he was undersized. The guy wasn't even 6 feet tall, but that man would hit you. He wasn't overly fast, but he was everywhere. But hardly a guy recognized it. It wasn't just because Atlanta was losing, but his frame didn't scare you. I think he was like 5'10", maybe 5'9". Maybe smaller than that. But then there's Ray Lewis, a guy who was pushing 6'2", 6'3", and very big, very flamboyant, and overly talented. Went to the University of Miami, whereas Jesse Tuggle went to Valdosta State. So the point I'm making here is the Carolina Panthers are a team that needs to get a very solid look on Friday. And when you have Shedeur Sanders in there, and possibly some of the big pieces like Jerry Jeudy, which I have not heard whether or not he is going to play. That is a huge issue here, because when you start to back up and think about where we're at with this, you got Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Deontay Johnson. We're not sure how many reps they're going to get. And then, of course, we already know that there's going to be a watered-down version of what we're going to see offensive-wise. And then, of course, same thing with Ichiro Evero. We're going to see some watered-down things, schemes that are possibly just going to see how efficiently guys like Princely Emmanuel, as well as Nick Scorton, Bobby Brown, and even Cam Jackson can get to the quarterback or maybe make plays in the backfield. Whereas possibly you're not going to see a guy like Quinshon Judkins or Jerome Ford, but maybe once, if you see them at all. So you're not going to be, and there's even a possibility that the Browns offensive line ones may not even play. So the most important thing that we're needing to see as a franchise is whether or not we took a step in 2025 as far as the defensive front goes. Are we going to be able to stop the run? But when you look at what other teams are trying to run, such as when you look at what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like to do, when you look at what teams like the Philadelphia Eagles like to run based on what they've done in the past when they've run the ball effectively and efficiently. Same with the Detroit Lions. You want to be able to get a fresh look and a strong look at what the opposing squad has to offer. And you can't do that when the opposing team is not willing to disclose anything. That was my problem with Frank Reich when he first got here. And, the first thing he would say after the first two disastrous preseason games was, well, we're not trying to give we're not trying to tip our hats. And then when the regular season came, it showed that's all you had. That's the only thing you were tipping, is that you had no answer. So you suck. That is where I look at in this matchup here. We want to be able to get defensive looks. We want to be able to see if Damani Richardson, Lathan Ransom, are they going to take the lead in this safety battle, or is it going to be up to the trusted Nick Scott, who's not really, he doesn't give you any. He's just one of those guys that the Coach Evero trusts. He has that experience, and they just basically say, okay, this is just the guy we trust. So this is where we're going with this. However, when you start to really break down and analyze what we need to be able to see, it's not very encouraging. It's not looking like the Cleveland Browns are going to give us the type of look that we need. You need quality competition, as we saw in a couple of preseason games that happened on Thursday. You want to be able to get those reps that, people say the score doesn't matter The Ravens went back and had a 20-game winning streak. So you got some teams that care about the win-loss aspect of it. So, yeah, while you do want to win the game, but you want to get quality reps. For us defensively, is to see if we're making progress at stopping the run and whether or not we're getting quality pass rush. We're not going to be able to get that possibly until week 1, because next week we have the Houston Texans, who have some horrible issues on the offensive line. They can't even keep their own guys off of C.J. Stroud. So, but I will say this: if we can get some pressure next week, it'll show that we're on the same level as Houston, and we're not one of those teams that, as bad as this offensive line, well, not bad, but as suspect as the Houston Texans offensive line appears to be in camp early. That's an offensive line that we understand we can beat. We can generate pressure. Defensively, what I'm hoping to look for is that Cam Jackson can get some of those reps that he got in practice, where he just totally blew up and obliterated the center that was in front of him. That's what I was telling you guys I'm looking for. See, guys, I'm telling you, for a guy that's not on the field at these, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. If Cam Jackson turns into that dude, where you got Derek Brown can take a break, Bobby Brown can take a break, Travell Wharton can take a break, and give one of these guys, stick him in one of these spots right here. Oh, boy, what you talking about? This dude can blow up anybody. All right, we saw flashes of it at Florida, and that was the thing when this guy got drafted. A lot of reason he slipped to where he was is because he had a lot of off moments. And what I mean by that is he had a lot of moments where he was out there on the field and he just, yeah. But now you put him in a situation where he can actually be a backup piece or a transition piece, if you will, a rotational piece. And when you can do that, you can bring 110% to just 8-9 plays a game. And they're monstrous when you talk about goal-to-goal situations. You can go line up. Travell Wharton doesn't have to be in there. You can go Cam Jackson, Bobby Brown, Derek Brown, A'Shawn Robinson, Shy Tuttle. You can go 300, 300, 300, 300, 300 across the front. Bring your guys in like Princely Emmanuel on the edge. Not a good choice. Nick Scorton. There you go.
Cut it out.
Just saying. And there's a lot of times in those 4th and 1s, 3rd and 1s, when you can bring 4 and 5 big guys out there, and you got them now. You literally have them in a 50 set. Now, switching to the offensive side, there's no denying that this would have been a defense that you could play and figure out what it is you have, especially with guys like Denzel Ward, guys like, of course, Myles Garrett, who's a specimen. We've heard that all week. And the rookie sensation, Mason Graham. We all know about Malik Collins. And, we could definitely get somewhere with this pass rush, and understand if we can run the football against Cleveland, which that was probably one of their weaknesses. Which is the reason why the linebacker Carson Schlesinger was brought in. And we don't know if Cleveland's going to play. I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett is not going to play. And see, that's a huge, huge miss. We need a guy like that on the field to gauge where our offensive line is at this point. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, they were pretty good last year. And I had heard some other Panther podcasters say that was a question mark. No. Our offensive line was relatively good last year. I mean, think about it. Chuba had a great year. And I'm looking along the lines that Chuba doesn't need to play. Rico Dowdle does. He needs to understand where he needs to go, where the holes are, what the scheme is, and how to familiarize himself with how the linemen block and what the scheme entails for him to do. Now, as I said, do I think this is going to help us get a really good look? Not real sure. Depends on what the Cleveland Browns bring out. And judging by what I'm hearing, it's all about Shedeur Sanders. So I'm not certain whether we're going to get much of a look at all. I think ultimately this is going to be a situation where we're going to have to just get, the best reps we can get, not really give out a lot of defensive schemes that we would save for, the regular season. So needless to say, I'm looking forward to watching Ted McMillan and Bryce, possibly Xavier Legette. I would like to see Jalen Coker get out there, because he's really, you guys saw the other show where in the scrimmage that Coker really took his game up to the next level and stole the show. We've heard Canellis say some really good things about him. He came back slimmer and stronger after OTAs. And, here we are now at the fringe of the regular season. We've technically got a month before this kicks off. And it would be great to see. Great to see Jalen Coker put his game together and become that next guy, because I love his size. I think he's quiet, and unfortunately, when you're quiet, people like the guy that's quiet, but they don't like the guy that's quiet. But it would be awesome if Friday night he turned it up and put in a 2 touchdown performance as he did at the joint practice session. But all in all, I'm looking for no mistakes out of the offense, possibly a couple of mistakes by the defense, but we can't take too much of that out of context because this is the first preseason game. You've got teams that are deciding to play starters, and then you got teams like Cleveland who's deciding that we're not going to risk that yet. So we have to take things as they are and still make the best of them. But let me know what you guys think about the matchup with Cleveland and the Carolina Panthers. Do you think we're going to get a lot out of this game? Do you think we're going to be able to get a good look? Do you think it's a waste for the Panthers to play their starters, or do you think that the reps are still important? Let me know down in the comments. Also, make sure you put your name down if you're a first-time listener and if you're a first-time subscriber. If you're a subscriber that has not been with us in a while, please leave your name down in the comments. And also, make sure you go to the Facebook page at Growlin' and Prowlin', as well as join the Facebook group Growlin' and Prowlin', so you can check out the polls and other little things that we'll be doing. Finally, go to my Instagram so you can keep up with all the shenanigans that I will be caught up with off and during the season. But until the next time, hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, keep prowling the airwaves, and keep growling out. Keep pounding.